Matt Petgrave, or I should call him the Negro killer in hockey, will face no criminal charges for killing fellow hockey player Adam Johnson. And you want to know what happened when he returned to play? He received a stadium full of applause by mostly white people. And so, sure, I can talk about Negroes and how they manage to make themselves a part of a high crime rate within hockey, a sport that Negroes barely play. I can talk about all of that, but it's really pointless when you have so called white people in this so called white country, such as Britain, because they're the ones that just recently let him off. And you got a stadium full of people applauding this Negro once he returns after slicing a person's throat on live television. When it's all white people involved in that, it really becomes less about the Negroes that's doing the killing and getting away with it, and more about the idiot, racially cuckold whites that enable this behavior. And the reason why I call him the Carmelo Anthony of hockey, because I'm inclined to believe that Carmelo Anthony will get off as well. Perhaps he won't. Perhaps he will face some criminal charges, but the criminal charges that he should face will be light instead of serious. And as a result of this racial cuckolding from so-called whites, again, blame the Jews until you're blue in the face, blame the Negroes committing these crimes, but it means nothing without the cooperation, the participation, and the activism coming from woke liberal whites that engage in all of this enabling violent crime behavior. And because of their racial cuckolding, the Western world is being utterly destroyed. And it's just as simple as that. Now this is a particular stabbing, or I should say slashing, that was caught on live television. And thousands of people were there in attendance seeing what happened, and he still got off. So it just goes to show you, it can be on video, or you could have eyewitnesses and police reports, like with the Carmelo Anthony situation. But nonetheless, this murderous behavior, this homicidal behavior from Negroes will get defended. And I'm not talking about defended by so-called black people, because again, that should just be assumed. Whites defending it though, and from an institutional standpoint defending it, allowing these people to go scot-free, that's really the most concerning thing, because it's affecting everyone that lives in Western civilization, because these will be also the same people that will ignore border laws and allow criminal gangs from other countries access into their countries, which affects us all. But again, what do you expect? This is the same country that allowed 3 of its preteen daughters to get stabbed to death, and that country and the politicians that presided over all of that are still standing. And please believe, this weakness exists in America despite the whiteys in America owning guns. Again, I firmly believe that if Trump would have unfortunately got his head blown open by assassins, nothing would have happened in reaction to it. Because in America, you have a lot of self-proclaimed based anti-wokes who are still too distracted by their consumption in sports ball or video games, in movies, and television shows. Or, hell, they're just addicted to talking boldly online, but never doing anything in person. Not even choosing to simply weaponize their wallet and financially boycotting institutions, enabling situations like this Matt Petgrave situation, or behaviors that go into the Matt Petgraves of the world. Because, believe it or not, when he lifted up his leg to slice that player's throat, part of it was, in his mind, fuck that white boy. And why wouldn't it be? Since not only was he more than likely raised as a Negro to blame and hate Whitey, but you have government institutions and the mainstream media for all his life have been pumping and pushing hate Whitey, blame Whitey. That's why it's safe to say any violent conflict, when it's black on white, it's safe to say it's all guaranteed racially motivated. But anyway, this is an utter disgrace. But it has come to be expected. And that's why, when you hear these so-called European leaders fretting over Putin, it makes you want to cheerlead for him. Because if they despise him, then clearly that's who you should be rooting for, because this is what they're doing to their own citizens. They're allowing their own natives to get raped, terrorized, harassed, physically abused, and murdered. And then arresting them if they complain about it because they don't have free speech. I mean, that's not a European nation that you want America to be aligned with, because you most definitely don't want that same mentality existing in America. But anyway, that's all I have to say about this. Hopefully Matt Petgrave gets a horrible disease, because he deserves it for being the killer.